Kodiak Island, Alaska, December 3rd, 7:46 a.m. A peaceful morning shattered in seconds. The ocean pulled back, the earth trembled, and then a wall of icy water came crashing in. No one was ready, but one man had to survive. The warning came just 90 seconds before disaster. Daniel Carter, a 38-year-old marine biologist, stood frozen in his cabin, coffee still in hand, staring at the blaring emergency alert. Tsunami approaching, reach high ground immediately. But outside, the sky was blue. Birds were flying. There was no sign of chaos. He had no idea that nature was already moving. Beneath the sea, a tectonic shift had already triggered the coming nightmare. Daniel stepped outside and saw something terrifying. The ocean was pulling away. Boats tilted on their sides. Crabs and fish flopped helplessly on the exposed ocean floor. Locals screamed, running toward the hills. Daniel dropped his coffee and bolted for his truck. He knew the science. If the water retreats, the wave is coming. Kodiak's roads twisted like serpents through icy forest. Daniel sped toward Pillar Mountain, the only high ground within reach. Snow-covered branches slapped his windshield as his truck fishtailed on black ice. He turned up the radio, hoping for updates, but static was all he heard. The tsunami was now minutes away. On the way up, Daniel passed a school bus stalled in a ditch. A young teacher waved desperately. Daniel slowed but didn't stop. His heart ached, but he couldn't fit them all. He whispered, "I'm sorry," and kept driving. Survival forces choices no one wants to make. Halfway up the mountain, the warning sirens stopped. No more blaring, just silence, and birds fleeing the sky. Daniel stepped out, felt the ground hum beneath his boots, and then he heard it, a deep, rumbling roar from the bay. The wave was coming. From the ridge, Daniel watched in horror. A 60-foot wall of black, icy water slammed into Kodiak's harbor. Boats shattered like toys. Buildings crumbled as if made of paper. Flames burst from fuel lines. The city was swallowed in under a minute. Daniel fell to his knees, crying as smoke and mist filled the air. Everything he knew, gone. His research station, his friends. His breath came in gasps as freezing wind whipped his face. Survival felt like guilt. Suddenly, a soft cry pierced the silence. He turned. A girl, maybe 8, in a pink jacket, shivering behind a fallen tree. "Where's your family?" he asked. She didn't speak, just pointed downhill. Daniel had no choice. He wrapped her in his coat and whispered, "I've got you now." As the sky darkened, Daniel carried the girl toward the remnants of the town. Smoke hung low. Fires burned. He called out, "Is anyone there?" No answer. But then, a muffled cry beneath a collapsed roof. He put the girl down and began digging with bare hands. He found a man and his teenage son trapped beneath wooden beams. Daniel worked until his fingers bled, lifting piece by piece. The father was unconscious. The boy had a broken leg. "I can only carry one," Daniel said, torn. "Take my son," the man whispered, eyes full of tears. Carrying both the little girl and the injured boy, Daniel climbed toward higher ground again. His arms shook. His breath froze midair. Behind them, another aftershock rocked the ground. Another small wave followed. Trees cracked and fell. They barely made it to a rocky ledge before the water swept below them. The night was brutal. No food, no warmth. Daniel huddled the children together, using his body to block the wind. He sang softly, a song his mom used to sing him during storms. The girl clutched his shirt and whispered, "Don't let go." He didn't. At dawn, Daniel climbed the ridge and found an old ranger tower barely standing. Inside was a flare gun, rusted but loaded. He fired it into the sky. It exploded red over the bay. Now, all they could do was wait. By midday, hunger became pain. Daniel searched nearby cabins for supplies, found canned beans, a flashlight, and blankets. The boy's fever rose. Daniel boiled snow water on a tin stove, praying it would help. He was no doctor, but right now he had to be everything. Late afternoon, the sound of blades. Daniel ran into the clearing waving a ripped red jacket. The helicopter circled once, then dipped lower. "Rescue," he cried, not out of joy, but release. They were going to live. Daniel, the children, and 4 other survivors were airlifted to Anchorage. News called him a hero, but he didn't feel like one. He remembered the teacher on the road, the people he couldn't save. Sometimes surviving feels heavier than dying. Weeks later, Daniel wrote a letter to the families of the lost. "I didn't do enough," he wrote, "but I carried your children. I tried, and if I could go back, I'd do it all again." He placed it at the foot of a memorial by the sea. 6 months later, Daniel returned to Kodiak Island. Reconstruction had begun, but the coastline was forever changed. He walked to the hill where he had once stood alone. This time, the little girl stood beside him, holding his hand. Together, they looked out at the sea, not in fear but in memory. If you love cinematic survival stories like this, subscribe for more gripping adventures set across real American landscapes. New stories every week, only on this channel.